Hello everyone, I'm Dave Lamoste and today we'll be talking about creational design pattern. So we'll be walking through creational design pattern in which in this activity we have to build a game asset generator system for a small indie game studio. Studio needs to generate different types of game characters, weapons and power-ups, but developers are overwhelmed by messy new codes scattered everywhere in the code base. So we have to fix the messy code, right? So implement multiple creational patterns to fix and extend the system. So we have to implement creational patterns and then fix the system. So this will be done in 3 prints, in which the first print is the factory battle, in which we implement a factory method with game characters such as warrior, mage and archer. Each character must have different attack styles, so yeah, each of them must have different attack styles. Extend the factory to support new characters without modifying existing code. Working factory that can spawn characters dynamically from user input. So it should the client shouldn't be able to touch the existing code when adding new characters. Right, so the second sprint is the abstract arsenal, in which we have to expand system by adding weapons, bow, staff, sword, power-ups. Then use an abstract factory to group weapons by theme. Right, so we have to add a theme, abstract factory to group weapons, power-ups, and yeah, to group weapons and power-ups by theme. So such as medieval set and then futuristic set. The client should be able to swap themes without changing code logic. The What should be done is that abstract factory producing consisting families of game objects. Sprint number 3, the ultimate refractor. Choose any two patterns from the following, integrate them into the system. So for this sprint, we'll be using singleton and then prototype. Okay, so we won't be using a builder for now. Then deliverable should be a refactor game system demonstrating pattern synergy. So okay, let's just proceed, right? So I have here a code that I have coded already, right? So we'll proceed already now. So we have here game asset generator, right? So I'll just run it so you guys can better understand. Okay, so we have here game asset generator. In case you couldn't see clearly, okay, I'm zooming it in, right? So we have here game asset generator. The output should be theme switch to medieval. This is set as a default theme, right? So sprint 1 factory method pattern, available character types. So we have here rogue, mage, warrior, archer, spawning warrior, spawning mage, spawning archer, warrior swings. These are the attacks of each character. So the warrior swings a mighty sword dealing 25 damage. Warrior uses shield bash, stunning the enemy. So mage and archer characters also have different types of different attack styles, right? So cast fireballs, cast teleport, then 35 magic damage, shoots an arrow for 30 damage, uses multi-shot, right? So that's for the sprint 1, right? So let's proceed to sprint 2, in which abstract factory pattern. Again, sprint 2 is all about expanding the system by adding weapons, then power-ups, right? So be adding weapons and power-ups. So this theme is used because we are needed to implement an abstract factory to group weapons and power-ups. So for the medieval theme, we have steel sword, then elven bow, a health potion, and then yeah, those attack styles or use styles of each weapon and potion, right? So slashing with steel sword, shooting with arrow, shooting arrow from elven bow, then drinking health potion. Then on the futuristic theme, we have here plasma blade, quantum bow, and nano healer. So these are all futuristic items or weapons, and then potions or power boosts, right? So cutting with plasma blade, firing energy bolt, then activating nano healer. So for the sprint 3, the prototype pattern, we're using a singleton in which we can ensure only one game manager exists, and then a prototype, so cloning existing characters for spawning multiple enemies or characters, right? So here we have the prototype, so the cloning. First, we have declared the original warrior, in which he has the original warrior is currently level 1, has 100 of health, HP, and then attack of 25. After leveling, warrior becomes level 3. So keep in mind that this warrior is a is the original warrior, right? So he has now become level 3, right? So wait, I think yeah, my bad. So my bad. Alright, sorry. First, we have here the original. Let me redo the sprint tree. So for the prototype pattern, we'll be cloning the original warrior. Okay, so his stats are level 1, health, HP 100, and then attack of 25. So after leveling, he becomes level 3. But before that, he was cloned here. So cloned warrior 1, which is the same as here. So he has the same stats as the original warrior, right? So level 1 with health of 100 and the attack of 25. So he has been cloned 2 times, in which cloned warrior 1 and cloned warrior 2, right? So after clone 1 levels up, so for the clone 1 here levels up, he becomes level 2. He has 110 in health now, and then 30 of attack damage. Then clone 2 remains unchanged because only clone 1 levels up. So this demonstrates, so as you can see here, warrior clone 2, this one has stayed on its current on its past stats, right? So still level 1, health 100, and then attack damage of 25. So this demonstrates prototyping, in which each prototype or clone entity or object has become independent, right? So for the game manager's stats, this ensures that only one game manager exists. So this is the singleton pattern applied. Right, so current theme is futuristic because lastly we have switched the theme to futuristic, so as what have been called in the main method, right? So in our main method, right? So the active characters we have here are 3, in which we have warrior, the mage, and the archer. So yeah, then that's basically it. So we'll be running it again, the program, but we'll have to check everything first, right? So we'll go back to the very top, in which we have our sprint 1, the factory button. So we have here our factory, abstract factory, in which we name character, because we'll be extending a lot of classes here, right? So first, for our abstract factory, we have the character, string name, health, attack power, both int. And then for the constructor, we have string name, health, and attack power. So we'll be assigning those, this dot name, this dot health, attack power, and so on. Then it must have a method of attack and then a special ability, right? So each of the character must have an attack and then a special ability, right? So excuse me, for this one, public string, we must get the name of so we have here a setter, and then we have getters here. So we must get the name, the health, and then the attack power. So we'll be returning those into values, right? So yeah, since health and attack power are set to int, we'll have a toString method here that we can we'll have this toString method here, so that the user can read the name, the health, and attack power without any problem. So he can read it as pure string, right? So we have here the string health, string name, and then the health, which is a digit, and then attack, which is also a digit. Alright, so those will be converted into string, just like what I have shown you earlier, right? So for the concrete character implementations, we have each character here: warrior, mage, and then archer. So for each character, it extends into the character interface, character abstract class, right? So our class warrior here, which extends to character, must have an attack and special ability methods. So attack and special ability here, and then it has its own constructor, in which it inherits the super it inherits the super characteristic of the character abstract class, so in which he has the string name and the int health and the int attack power. So we have here string of warrior, health of int is 100, and the attack power of int is also 25. So we override those inherited methods, which is attack and then special ability. So we've set here a unique name for the attack, and then the attack power, the damage, and then the special ability. So each of these three, the class warrior, the class mage, and also the class archer, so each of them have different characteristics. So how can we implement so we have already successfully implemented factory method that is different types of game characters. We have also set different attack styles for each character. Now we have to extend the factories to support new characters without modifying existing code. So just like what we did here to these three, here we can just copy everything basically. So just change the output, so without any changes, to our abstract class here, abstract factory here. So yeah, that makes this code much smoother to improve or to add new characters and attacks and special abilities and stuff, right? So here we can add, let's say we have a rogue character or we can do any character. So you can say bounty hunter or a swordsman or a so depending on the case, no, alright, or depending on what the client wants, right? So for this case we'll be using the example rogue character. So the rogue character extends character, so it's basically the same as this inherits this super constructor, which it has a string of name, which is archer, and then int health and attack power, in which he has health 80 and attack power of 30. So it overrides the attack and the special ability that he inherited from the abstract factory, right? So this one, sorry, this was the rogue one. Name the rogue, and then health is 70 and the attack power of 28. So yeah, he overrides the attack and special ability methods from the super class or the abstract class, right? So this is the factory method pattern, in which the abstract class character creates an abstract factory, right? So these factories, wait, I'm sorry, this abstract factory character, in which is an abstract class, creates concrete factories that will create these characters, these these unique characters, right? So we'll be creating those through concrete factories. So we'll be creating here our factory method. This is the abstract factory, the character factory, right? So this is our abstract factory, right? So abstract class character factory, this uses the character abstract class create character. So public create character spawn character method, which we call the character reference class, and we create a character with it with the abstract class character, right? So with our abstract factory, am I right? Abstract factory, yes, abstract factory, right? So we're printing out spawning the character we have created, and then returns the character. Okay, so we have here the concrete factories, in which each character we have mentioned before, the archer, the warrior, so they'll be passed through here before they are created, right? So for the first one, the warrior factory extends the character factory, which is our factory method here, the concrete factory here, sorry, this was concrete factory. So the character abstract class is the abstract factory, right? So sorry, I think we have two abstract factories here, abstract factory character, and then sorry, this was a factory method, so shouldn't have added that one, right? So my bad, sorry. So we have here So the character factory is a factory method pattern, right? So the character abstract class is our abstract factory. Okay, so keep that in mind. Then where were we? Concrete factories. So the concrete factories, these are the factories that creates each unique character. So for this case, we have the warrior factory, extends the factory method character factory, then overrides the create character method, right? So return new warrior, in which we have added here on our concrete characters, right? So yeah, these are basically how this is basically how other concrete factories this is basically how other concrete factories are being implemented. So for the mage factory, archer factory, and the rogue factory all have the same implementations, right? So let's proceed to the factory registry for dynamic creation. The factory registry, this is to register the characters, to register the factories, the concrete factories into our map. So we have a map here for the class character factory registry. We have the java.util.map. So we're using a hash map here, right? So we have a string and then the character factory, what kind of factory. So we will be putting those in a hash map, which we have created here, the new hash map object, right? So we'll be putting here static factories dot put. We'll be adding the warrior, the mage, the archer, and the rogue. So this is how you add or put factories in our hash map. So factories dot put warrior or string, and then new kind of factory. So for this case, warrior factory, and then for the second one, mage factory, and so on. Okay. So the public static character our character we have a new method here from our character abstract class, in which we create character. So character factory equals, so from the character factory we assign it to our factory variable, in which it equals to factories that get. So it will get what type of factory that the user enters here. So later we'll be discussing that, what kind of factory he gets, so that this create character method will return the correct character that the client or the main, or what we have called in our main method, right? So excuse me, if we have an if statement here to catch errors, if to throw errors if the factory is null or the user haven't entered anything, then throw illegal argument exception, unknown character type, and then if else, if it's not null, then it will return factory.spawn character, depending on what type of character factory and the factory character factory and the character with designated to that certain character factory will be created, right? So if it's not null, then it will spawn a character from that specific character factory, right? So yeah, that's basically it. Then this that set method from our list of string get available types, call it get available types. So return factories dot keyset. This will help us show available types of characters, yeah, or factories. So this, but we won't be seeing this in our so the client won't be seeing this because this is only for the methods on our backend. So we have here the mage, archer, and the rogue. This will be seen by these are the available types that will be seen by the client, in which we have assigned to each character factory, right? So let's proceed to sprint number 2, the abstract arsenal, in which we have to expand the system by adding weapons and power-ups. Use an abstract factory to group weapons, and clients should be able to swap teams without changing code logic. So we'll be upgrading our arsenal. So we have here our abstract class, the weapon. Excuse me. So it has a protected string name and then int damage. So construct a setter of weapon. So assigning each parameter, and then we'll have a use method, get name method, and then get damage method. So yeah, then we'll be we'll be having use method only, and then we'll be getting the name and the damage of each weapon, right? So toString, just like earlier from the character, format the, since we'll be getting the damage in which it is an int, so yeah, we have to format it to string. So format to string, damage, name, and then damage, right? So we have here medieval weapons. So these are still excuse me, so this is our abstract factory for this one, and then these weapons are abstract these weapons will be our so just like before, these weapons are what we have added here. Wait, yeah, the concrete characters. So this will be our concrete weapons, right? So or we can just call it concrete products. Concrete products. So each warrior and each character is concrete product, and then factory method pattern. Okay, where were we? Concrete products. So for the medieval weapons, we have a concrete products of sword or concrete weapons extends to the weapon abstract class. So it must have a use method, So yeah, for the super constructor, it has a string name and then an int damage. So for the name steel sword, the damage is 20. Okay, so we'll override the use method, which we uniquely assign how the steel sword, or how each weapon is used. So slashing with steel sword for 20 damage. Okay, so that's how we implement each each weapon, each concrete product from the medieval theme, right? So we have two themes for this example, the medieval and the futuristic. So we have here the bow, staff, and then yeah, we'll be proceeding to the futuristic weapons. So for the futuristic weapons, still the same class laser sword, extends weapon, and then public laser sword with a super constructor, string name of plasma blade, and a damage int damage of 25. So same as how we implemented the medieval concrete weapons. So overriding the use method, cutting with laser sword for 25 damage, 25 plasma damage, right? So and so on for the energy bow and then the tech staff, right? So for the power ups, have here an abstract factory again, which is the abstract class for the power ups. So abstract factory for the power ups. So it has name and int effect value. For the constructor, power up, setter string name and int effect value, right? So it must have an activate method, and then we'll be getting the names and then the get effect value. Okay, so toString again, already implemented. So here we have medieval power ups again. For the medieval power ups, health potion extends power up, public health potion. So its name is health potion with a super constructor of string name of health potion and then int effect value of 30. So and then we print out with by overriding the activate method right here from our abstract factory. So drinking health potion, restoring 30 health. Okay, so that's basically how we implement each potion for the medieval and the futuristic power ups. So it's the same with nano healer and energy cell. So we have here the abstract factory pattern, in which we create each pattern, each abstract factory. So for the weapons, just like before, we have created wait, let me just scroll up above. Created, oh no, we have put it in a map, but for this one we have created each factory, right? For I think we have implemented it above. Wait, let me check. Okay, so I think not, right? So but for the abstract factory pattern, we have here the game asset factory, in which each abstract factory for the weapons and then the power ups will be creating each concrete factories, right? So these are factories Okay, so for the medieval theme, we have created medieval asset factory extends game asset factory. So for the medieval theme, we have overridden the create melee weapon method, in which we return sword. So sword is a concrete product of our concrete factory weapon, right? So it passes through the create melee weapon method from our concrete factory weapon. So that happens to all weapons and then to all power ups. So same implementation as how it was implemented in here. Okay, so for the futuristic theme factory, same, it's still the same, right? So the melee weapons are here. So despite different themes, it's still a melee weapon. So that's still the same implementation as to every other concrete products. Okay, so for the sprint 3 ultimate refractor, in which we have to choose any two patterns and then integrate them to the system, singleton and prototype. So these are the two that will be so these are the two patterns that we'll be using in I'll be discussing to you guys. So these are the two patterns that I've implemented here. So we'll be talking about singleton and prototype only. For the singleton pattern excuse me, so this will be the game manager. So for the singleton, ensures only one game manager exists. So must be only one game manager at a time. So when a program runs, it shouldn't have any errors of running multiple game managers. So it has to be only one. Okay, for the game manager, it has an instance of game manager in which we'll be using how singleton is gonna be implemented, right? So yeah, it has these instance variables here: game asset factory and a list of characters, and then string of current theme. So current theme factory, the active characters, and the current theme status or the instance. Okay, so we have here a private method game manager. So we have to encapsulate this everything here, all of the instances here, because we don't want any of the methods or the instances here to be called outside the game manager class. Okay, so for the game manager method, we have here active characters equals to new array list. So the active characters will be put in our array list. Okay, so set theme medieval, and we have put here set theme medieval because as the game runs, it has to have a theme. So our default theme would be medieval, and then the other theme is the futuristic. Okay, we have here get instance. So this is how we get we ensure that our game manager only runs one instance at a time. So this is how we'll be implementing singleton. So if instance is equal to null, then synchronize game manager that class. Okay, he'll be synchronized with the class game manager. So if instance is null, then he'll be creating a new instance, right? So then it returns the current instance of the game manager, so making sure that only one instance runs at a time when our program runs. Okay, so it shouldn't have any other game manager instances that is running as well. So yeah, so let's proceed to the set theme. This this method sets the theme for our game manager. So we have a switch here to lowercase. If the user uses medieval, then the current theme is set to is passed through the medieval asset, the current theme factory, and then creates a new object of medieval asset factory, and then it passes through the current it sets the value of the current theme into what the user have entered or requested for the theme. So for this case, the medieval, then the break, then another case is for futuristic, same as how the medieval is being implemented here. Okay, so yeah, they're just the same. Then break, then if there's an error, then it will throw an illegal argument exception error. So if that's done, then it will proceed to outside of this switch block, then it will print out the current theme. So theme switch to current theme. Okay, so a getter here, we have a getter here for the current theme, and then for the characters, yeah, we have to, for the characters, we have to spawn the characters applying the singleton pattern. So this counts how many characters are currently in a single game manager instance. Okay, so it's inside the game manager, so this makes sure that all the spawned characters are counted, and made sure that these characters are running properly. Okay, so running properly inside a single instance of the game manager. Excuse. So same as how we implemented characters before on our character abstract class, spawn character, then the type of the character, then registers the the character factory into the character factory registry class, and then creates a new character with its type. So active characters that add the newly created character, then returns the type of the character. So it will be added on the active characters here, active characters list. Okay, for the game manager. So the game manager oversees everything that will be added. So not just for the characters, we have weapons also, and then the power-ups, and then I think the theme also, the current theme, and then the active characters. Okay, so the characters, the weapons, the active characters, the power-ups are all overseen by the game manager abstract class. The game manager class. Okay. So where were we? This one. This is the list that implements or that gets the returns the active characters spawned uh, spawned in the main method. So everything here shows, yeah, will be shown by the game manager. Okay, so yeah, the game manager is basically responsible for everything. Is basically everything. Okay, so almost everything. Okay, basically everything. Sorry. So we'll be proceeding to display stats. Okay, display stats. Current theme. This is where we print out. This is where the game manager displays stats or prints out the stats or the status of the game. Okay, so it has the current theme, and then active characters, which will be uh, which will be shown in its count number or size, and then for loops the characters or the active characters, right? So the active characters only. Okay, so yeah, then let's proceed to the cloning prototype pattern. Cloning prototype pattern extends the character abstract class, abstract factory. It has an int level, so it has to be protected because only those who extend the prototype character can use this int level instance. Okay, so here we have the prototype character constructor, name, health, attack power, string name, int health, int attack power, super constructor of name, health, attack power, and sets its level by 1. Okay. For the second one, this copies the constructor of the prototype character, and then prototype character sets the parameter as other. So for this one we have for the first one the prototype character it what do you call that, it has an argument here. It has parameters here of string name, int health, and int attack power. For the second one, or for the copy constructor or the cloning constructor, we have a parameter here of an object which is called other, which is from our prototype character constructor here. Okay, prototype character class, abstract class, sorry. So yeah, so prototype character abstract class with an argument of with a parameter of an object prototype character which is named other. Okay, super constructor other that name, that other that health, other that attack power. So this just basically calls the same thing here, but it uses the prototype character class and creates a new object. So this other is just basically from this abstract class prototype character. So it sets the level, this level, other that level. Okay, so when it copies the when the prototype pattern is implemented, it copies the level, the current level of the copied or the cloned instance or object. Okay, so it also has a level up method for the prototype character. It has a public void level up method, increments the level, adds health, and then attack power. Then it also returns, gets the level of the prototype character. So again, toString overrides the toString method, in which, because we have to use this to display the name along the int health and the int attack power along with the string name. So name, level, health, and attack power will be seen as will be converted to string, so that the user can view them appropriately. So we have here an abstract method for creating copies, prototype character copy method. Okay, so copy method, which we have assigned to our prototype character abstract class. Okay, so enhanced concrete characters with prototype support. Excuse. So these are the concrete characters, but they all extend to the prototype character. So each prototype character, each concrete character may be copied or may be cloned, because we have extended this to our prototype character abstract class. Okay, so public warrior prototype method, we have the super constructor here, which inherited from our prototype character constructor. We have a string, int health, and then int attack power. For the name, warrior, 100 health and 25. So the same as the same attributes as the prototypes that we have set earlier. So these, we also have the copy constructor, in which public warrior prototype, it copies this one. So warrior prototype, and then passes the other object, then as the instance of the warrior prototype, then super constructor passes the other object or instance from the warrior prototype class. Okay, so we have also overridden the attack. So name, level, attack, swings. So because it extends the prototype character, it must have the attack. Okay, because the prototype character also extends the character, in which the character has an attack method. Okay, so attack here, then the special ability, and then the copy here. So keep in mind that if the clone character has a current if a character is cloned, its current level is also cloned. But when a character's level grows, so it's so the clone character will stay the same. Okay, so it will not grow as well, because only only the other character that's leveling up or that's leveled up will get the increase in level. Okay, so I hope you can understand my explanation. So I'm trying my best to explain everything in detail. Woo. Okay, let's proceed to the character registry for prototype pattern. So we will be mapping out every prototype pattern or the prototype factories in our character prototype registry class. So same as before, we'll be using map and string of prototype characters. Prototypes, namely prototypes, new hash map. Okay, so we'll be putting those in our prototypes hash map. So for this case, we have only added a single prototype character in our character prototype registry. So we have only implemented warrior, but we can add other other prototypes here, like the mage prototype and then the rogue prototype, but for this case we'll only be using the warrior prototype. So yeah, we'll put it here, and then clone character. This is where the clone character gets to work. So we have set here we have already implemented here the prototype characters, in which we have copy constructors. We will be using this clone character to fully implement those pre-implemented cloning or prototyping pattern. Okay, so prototype character, prototypes that creates a new prototype object. It assigns the prototype character into prototype and gets the type of the prototype. So if the prototype is null, throws an error, but if the prototype is not null, then it returns the prototype, the copy of the prototype. Okay, so yeah, that's basically for the sprint 3, in which we have implemented singleton and then the prototype. So refractored game system demonstrating pattern synergy. So we'll be proceeding to the main class, in which we have implemented, or which we in which we will see how these 3 sprints are being are working with our program. So if we really achieve this task, implement multiple creational patterns to fix and extend the system. So as for me, the system is basically fixed and good. So yeah, we'll be assuring those. So for the main method, printing out the game asset generator system. So the singleton, so it gets, for the singleton, gets the instance of the game manager. So this ensures that game manager equals game manager that get instance. So the game manager abstract class, let me just go back to where was it? Yeah, here. Game manager gets instance. So if no game manager is currently running, then he'll get an instance and returns the instance that makes sure that only one instance of game manager runs at a time. So that's what was stated in our sprint 1. No, sprint 1. Where was it? Ensure that only one the singleton here ensures only one game manager exists. Okay, so we implemented the singleton. This should return for the get instance method. This returns the instance for the game manager. Okay, so we'll be proceeding to sprint 1 factory method pattern. So this shows the available character types in which we have registered or put in the character the character factory registry. Okay, so that get available types, this should display all the character types inside our character factory registry that we have put earlier. Okay, so character warrior equals new game manager spawn game manager dot spawn character. So why did we have to pass these characters? Why do we have to pass the characters when spawning into the game manager abstract class? Because this helps us track and makes sure that all characters that will be spawned will be in our single instance of game manager running. So yeah, that's basically what's happening here. So for the characters, we have to pass these characters into the game manager abstract class so that they will be inside inside the game manager's instance for tracking and for better implementation purposes. Okay, so shows here the attacks and the special abilities of each character: warrior, mage, archer, and then no rogue. We haven't implemented rogue here, so just for the sake of demonstration. Okay, so we won't be putting too much information or too much implementation for our demonstration only. Okay, so we'll call the attacks, and then so these should display the different attacks of each character. Okay, so for the sprint 2, medieval team weapons and power-ups. So prints out medieval theme. So why does it say medieval theme already here? And for the futuristic theme, no, I'll be talking about that later. Okay, so in a few minutes, I'll be talking about that in a few minutes. So for this one, we have weapon, medieval sword, creates a new weapon. So it still passes through the game manager because as what I have said earlier, it needs to pass through the game manager abstract class so that the game manager knows which creations or spawnings belong or are included in the game manager. So the game manager knows what should be included in its current instance that is running. Okay, So yeah, weapon medieval sword equals game manager that create weapon type of melee weapon. So prints out the created weapons, and then the use and activate methods. Okay, so for the futuristic theme, why does it say switching to futuristic theme here, while on the first one it doesn't say anything? So it only says medieval theme and doesn't say switching to medieval theme, because so what we have did here, game manager equals game manager dot get instance. So for the get instance, let us just go back here, get instance. So if nothing is running, then the game, if the get instance method doesn't identify any running instance yet of the game manager, then it adds it as an instance. And for the theme, we have already default theme here, in which wait, I'm sorry, not here, but it's here up above. So we've set this set theme as a default theme, which is medieval for the game manager. So when the game manager starts, the user won't need to set the theme first before running the game. So the game automatically runs with its default theme, so so the client won't be having any problems starting the game immediately. Okay, so yeah, that's what happens. That's why it didn't say switching. We haven't added switching to medieval theme here, because it's already its current theme is already medieval theme for this block of code only. But since we've set the theme here into futuristic, that's why we have set we have added a prompt here for the client. Okay, so since it's already futuristic, we've added a laser sword. Then same as before, it passes through the game manager, then creates the weapon melee. So same as the energy bow and the nano healer, prints out everything, and then uses each weapon and power up, and then that's basically it for the second sprint. For the sprint 3 or third sprint, the prototype pattern will be cloning a warrior prototype. So since we haven't implemented in the code the mage and the mage in the range, and the mage, the archer, and the rogue characters, so we will only be cloning warrior prototype. So prototype character original warrior, give it a name original warrior, then character prototype registry that clone character. So it has to pass through it calls the clone character method from the character prototype registry class. So it checks here if the character prototype type of warrior exists in the character prototype registry. So if it exists, then it prints out the original warrior and then the original warrior. So if it doesn't, we have set an exception error for that one. Okay, so for leveling up, if you level up the original warrior, let's say we have leveled up the original warrior here. Original warrior, we have leveled it up 2 times, so we have called level up times 2 2 times here, so it should be from level 1 to level 2 and level 3. Okay, so the original warrior should be level 3 by now. Then after leveling, prints out the original warrior's level. Clone again to create an army. So we can clone as many as we like for the warrior. So just need to change its variable name. Then we can create so many characters, so many cloned warriors here. Then yeah, that's basically it. So this implements that when the current the original warrior is the only one that's being leveled up, then the other cloned other cloned warriors will not level up along with the original warrior. Okay, so here we have just a prompt to print out just for visuals the cloned warriors, and then we have here a demonstration how the cloned warriors are independent. Okay, so we have clone warrior 1, which is from the prototype character. We have cloned the warrior character, and then when the clone warrior 1 levels up, only the clone warrior 1 levels up and not the clone warrior 2. So that's how prototype pattern is being implemented here in our game manager code, game manager system. Okay, so prints out here the levels of the cloned warriors. Okay, so then game manager, final game manager stats or the status displays everything everything that we have called here. So let's try running it again. Okay, here game asset generator system. For the first theme, switch to medieval. This one here gets the instance and then returns the default theme. Wait, let me just run it again. It's bugging. I'm not sure why, but yeah. Theme switch to medieval. I'll just zoom in real quick. Okay, game asset generator system. Our current this is the use of the singleton also. When it uses a single instance only of the game running, so it keeps track of everything. Like for example, for this one, for medieval. So as the program runs, everything will still be in medieval theme for the theme only, as an example. So unless it's being called, other themes are being called, or the theme is being altered, then that's the time when the other theme is gonna be used or gonna be implemented. So that's how singleton, that's how useful singleton is for this kind of systems, for these kinds of systems. Okay, so for the factory method patterns, print1 shows here the available character types: rogue, mage, warrior, and archer. Then we spawn here a warrior, a mage, and an archer. also warrior swings. We have here the stats of each character, warrior, mage, and archer. Then its attacks, and then its special ability. So attack, swing mighty sword. This is shield bash, special ability. So fireball, attack, then teleport, special ability, attack, and special ability. For the sprint 2, Shock Factory method, medieval theme, creates medieval weapons. Okay, so created steel sword, elven bow, and then health potions or power ups. So use steel sword, the use method from elbow, and then the use method for the health potion. And then switching to futuristic theme, in which the theme is switched to futuristic from medieval. Okay, so since we're currently running a single instance of our game asset generator system, applying the singleton pattern, so we can see the dynamic switching of themes as for the feature of the game here from medieval to futuristic. Okay, so that's serves as a smooth transitioning or the dynamic feeling of the game. So created weapons, just like here, weapons, and then potions, and then uses of each created weapon or potion. Okay, plasma blade, quantum bow, nano healer, and so on. Then for the sprint 3 prototype pattern, we'll be cloning the original warrior only. Okay, original warrior here, and then its stats: level 1, health 100, and attack 25. Okay, keep in mind that that's the original warrior only. Okay, so I forgot to add here, but this should be prompted after this prompt here, because in our code we have prompted the original warrior, and then we have cloned them first before leveling the original warrior. Okay, so yeah, in our implementation we have cloned the original warrior, and then we have set the original warrior's level. We have increased it into 2 levels. That's why it's now level 3 here, and then its health and attack are upgraded as well. So for the clone warrior 1, it stays the same. Level 1, health 125, stays the same as the original warrior. And that's for the clone warrior 2 also. So after clone 1 levels up, the clone 1 warrior levels up to 2, then increases its stats. So the clone warrior 2 remains unchanged. So this shows, as you can see here, the clone warrior 2 is still level 1, has a health of 100, and has an attack damage of 25. So the values stay the same. Their values stay the same. So that's how prototype pattern is being implemented here. And then yeah, we have then called the game manager stats, in which we passed through the singleton a design pattern. Okay, we have here when we call the game manager stats or the show stats, which was passed through our in which we have applied singleton pattern. Here we can see the current theme. It's currently futuristic, since we haven't switched from futuristic to medieval from this point onwards. So it's currently futuristic still. Then we have active characters of 3: warriors, mage, and archer. So that's basically it, and I hope you have learned something, and if not, then feel free to message me below, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions in regards to these game asset generator. So hope you have great time, and thank you for watching this video.